Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of the utility board are present today. Having a quorum, we will proceed. I would like to call to order this special meeting of the Vienna Utility Board for July the 7th, 2022. Under new business, we have 3 items to deal with today. The first item on our agenda is the approval to list the property at 4705 8th Avenue in Vienna for demolition through govdeals.com, auction, or by sealed bids. The reason why that I asked to have this put on there today was about 2 weeks ago, we had another one of those major storm events. And so I asked Craig to go check the house. And unfortunately, it had about 2 foot of water in the basement. Okay. This is the same issue that's been going on for 20 years. And so the water got up into the bottom of the furnace. It got up in the bottom of the hot water tank. It got up in the bottom of the water softener. And so originally the plan was to list the house contents on govdeals.com and sell. Just let somebody bid on it, come in and take whatever they want, because the kitchen that's in that house is absolutely fantastic. It's got granite countertops, a big granite island, and it has new double pane windows. Now that it's gotten underwater again and it's got all the drywall and all is ruined, and Craig's guys did pull the carpet out of it, but to salvage this thing, I'm afraid that there's not going to be much material there to salvage. If someone wanted to go in and pull the windows out and take the kitchen out, there's some value there. But to sell it, to think that someone would want the brick off the outside or the floor joists or whatever, because building materials are so expensive, you have no idea what this will bring. All right. So I would just like the board to decide, are we just going to put it up for auction? Are we going to put it up for bid for the demolition? Because we'll have to go out to bid for the demolition for a contractor like Bosley or Empire or Jimmy Harper to come in and bid on the demolition of the house. If we do that, then it just goes. We tear it down, we pay the bill, and then we have our lot, and we can start the retention system. If we go the other way, then what would happen is we would simply list a house and say you can salvage whatever you want out of it, and then we would originally would have hoped to get enough out of it to offset the demolition cost. I just don't see the value there, like I originally thought there would be, because the basement and that lower level has had water damage, and there's probably mold in it and what have you. But we're ready to go now. The house is empty. We need to do something. So it's either tear it down or salvage whatever can be salvaged out of it, and then we'll tear it down after that. But as far as having a reasonable house where you could get multiple things out of it, I think the value has diminished greatly because of that last flooding episode that we had. As far as the govdeals.com goes, it's simply a matter of you get with those folks. We have to take pictures of all the things that are in it, and then it would be listed for auction. It would stay on the auction block for about 10 days to 2 weeks. At that time, whatever the bid would be is what the bid would be, and then you allow them to come in. I don't know that there's any liability for us as far as the mold or whatever, because you're buying it as a salvage house anyway. But that's the reason why I asked to have that put on there is, what do you want to do? You want to try to sell the stuff that's in there, or you want to just simply tear it down and move on?
Just my opinion, I like to see it tore down and move on. Get this thing moving.
I agree with you. We bought that property to do storm water retention stuff.
Well, if I mean, like the windows, if we hire somebody to go in there and take the windows out, then we got to store the windows, then we got to do whatever. And there's some value to the windows,
Right.
but only if a person's can use those particular size. I really, really hate to leave that kitchen in that place. But there again, What are you gonna do with 35 kitchen cabinets and 20 to 30 foot of granite countertops? I don't know.
And you would get a cheaper price if you just bid it out, tear it down. Whoever contractor come in will look at that product and say, okay, I want this stuff. I know I can resell it somewhere lower. Bid it out too, so.
And that's a plus. I mean, like some of the guys who come in with that, if there's lighting or whatever that they can reuse or whatever, then they'll, do that. But that, but at any rate, I just want some direction because we'll go, but we just need to, figure out what to do.
I agree with you, gentlemen. I think we're probably ready just to make the motion and move forward because just to tear it down.
Sell that you're whoever's tear down, take all that stuff out.
And we don't have to accept the bid for the demolition too. If we
Right.
don't think they've given us a good enough bid. I mean, last house we had tore down cost what, $11,000, Craig?
What part of it, so.
Yeah. Well, okay, went through code enforcement, but at any rate, so, all right, so it's been moved that we just advertise for bids to tear the house down. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of going out to bid to demolish the house at 4705 8th Avenue, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, okay. We'll get Amy to get on that and we'll get moving on that, Craig. All right. Yeah.
I'll tour the facility with the individuals want to tear down. They'll do a special inspection.
Right. Okay, so the second item on our agenda today is the approval to list the 12th Street building property on govdeals.com for auction. That is the big storage building that sits over in the back corner where the maintenance guys used to store the back trucks and the bigger pieces of equipment. The value there is the steel in the walls. The mounting timbers that building is built around are in terrible shape. But because of the high cost of steel right now, that definitely has some value there. All the utilities have been disconnected. It's ready to be taken down. So I just need permission to list it on Gov Deals, and it'll be the same thing. It'll be 10 days, 2 weeks to 10 days. And then after that, we'll close the bid out, and whoever's the bidder will make arrangements and take the building down and move on.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the 12th Street building property to be listed on Gov Deals for auction. And the 12th Street property is the old maintenance storage building. Okay? Any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The third item on our agenda this afternoon is, and I don't have the documentation, Craig. Yes, I do, right there. Thank you. On June 24th, 2022 at 10 a.m., the bid results were opened for the Greenmont Hills Storm Drain Replacement Project. We received one bidder at that time. It was from Jimmy Harper Construction. The results were $67,850. If you'll look at the map that you have here in front of you, you'll see that it goes behind the first three homes on the right-hand side as you go up Greenmont Hills. When Greenmont was originally built, the contractors installed this, and there was a ravine there that they basically laid a pipe in and they covered it over. And over the years, there have been numerous sinkholes that have developed in this thing. And Craig's guys ran the camera up through it, and they used an inferior quality pipe. And so if you had a round pipe like this, the top of it is now like this. It's collapsed. Behind the first house that you see here, there is a sinkhole in that gentleman's backyard that is about the size of a Volkswagen. You could drop a Volkswagen into that guy's backyard, and we have filled it once, and it came back again. And so now we're to the point where we're going to have to fix that because of the safety hazard there and the fact that it's got this guy's yard all ruined. All right. And so, Craig, would you care to elaborate on that anymore?
Yeah, the pipe that we're referring to is single wall. Forget pipe. It's like, I like same thickness as we use for foundation for drain pipe. we actually dug that section up there and patched it as we could. It didn't come back in the section, so there's a sinkhole there, and also has a sinkhole in the second house also closer to Rose. What I did was picked some contractors up, looked at it. You see the tree line there. The depth of that pipe's about 8 foot in a thick area. So it's deep for us to contain it, take care of, get it in place. So the contractors up there showed the project. This is what we wanted. We'll install a new 18-inch pipe, new head walls, wrap and below the outfalls. So get that water back down to my road. The reason why the riprap is at the end of the project is if I took the pipe clear down to Rosemar Road, then I have to get an issue with state road permits. I want to do that because they're under the same guideline. As we are stormwater, and they don't have a tendency of us find the storm drain. So that's why the pipe doesn't go through Rosemar Road. The contractor up there looked at it and asked for bids, and we had 2 bidders pick up the packet, 1 bidder returned it, Jimmy Harper Construction. So I'm pleased with the $67,850. I thought it'd be more than that. So
All right. Any questions? All right. And this design right here, I think is a good design because these people have yards that are like country club fairways. All right. And according to Craig, we're not going to damage their yards, which means we get in trouble all the time because we can't grow grass. That's just all there is to it. We can't.
minimize damage.
Huh?
Minimize damage.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There'll be there'll be some damage, but I mean, it's not like we're going to have to reseed this guy's yard. You know, you know what? It's so funny because people think that if we do a repair to their house that we're married to that yard. I mean, we did that repair up on top of Woodland Heights and we went back 3 times and reseeded that yard. And then I had to get Scott's Landscaping out to do it. The lady was so old, she couldn't water the thing. Well, you can't get grass to grow in the summertime if you don't water it, and so the less damage we do to somebody's yard, the better off we are. So anyway,
I do have one quick question. So is this coming out of the stormwater account then?
yes,
Okay, because I know at one point in time you thought maybe it would come out of streets, but it's stormwater. Okay.
yeah, this is a stormwater project and we do have funding for that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. With that, if there are no further questions, then I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bid from Jimmy Harper Construction in the amount of $67,850.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Just say one comment about this project to contractor Jimmy Harper. We met with the last individual closest house to Rosemar, and he gave us permission to actually put some trees along Rosemar Road, so Harper Construction access this project off of Rosemar. So that got through these people's yards with concrete, keep driving, tearing everything up, get possibly hurt the foundation up through the woods, through certain trees, so you can get on that wooded section. So it's nice damage.
Yeah.
Good.
And the other good thing about that is he's prepared to start this project within a couple weeks. And so we should have this project finished relatively quickly. So it's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Jimmy Harper Construction for the Greenmont Hill storm drain replacement. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. That concludes our agenda for this afternoon. Mr. Metz, you have anything you'd like to share?
No, just a couple of things. Again, we're working on grants for the Pond Run project. I know the mayor's was in a meeting yesterday with Sheriff
Senator Capito.
through Alba Cannon, Soil Conservation Department is doing a great job for us, contacting our representatives, Congress, state, and senators. The conference called today with Lori, myself, and individuals from our local soil conservation department, and he's talking about grants, and he's concerned about state grants, possibly not receiving any state grants, and it's important that federal funds will supply 65%, but we need a 35% match. We had state grants would absorb that 35% match. We would have zero money in engineering services. So, later on, Randy and I for Chris. Speak with him. He is the vice president of the finance committee.
Vice Chairman.
Vice chairman. So speak with them. Maybe we can get on that list, get grants from them and federal level. Get that project cost to the citizens. I spoke to the individual day at the importance of Pond Run. You know, I attended the class at FEMA 2 weeks ago, and you know they are going to do a new floodplain study in the Ohio River from Parkersburg up to Marietta, and they also possibly come in Pond Run. And if they see Pond Run with the silt that's in it now, they're going to do their calculations of how it exists today, not what designed for the thing. So that could affect floodplain issues and insurance rates. Of course, thousands of our residents have a huge amount was inside that floodplain. Long Pond Run, Grab 16, 28th Street. Hopefully we can get this done and show them what we're going to do. I want that.
You know, the other thing too that you all may not be aware of, the ratings that Craig refers to, our ISO rating with the fire department is critical. We have the best rating that you can get and not have a paid full-time fire department. That's how good Vienna's volunteer fire department is. I believe it's an ISO rating of 4. And if we did not have that, every homeowner in the city of Vienna would pay in excess of $300 more than what they pay simply because of that ISO rating. And these things like Craig with the floodplain, people don't realize that. But you take 4,500 homes and you're saving them $300 a year. That's real money in your pocket. And so that's the advantage of having a good fire department and up-to-date equipment and doing the work with the pond run so we can show them that we can, make the water flow. It's, I hope we get it.
It could be actually substantially more than $300. If they do that study in Long Pond Run and they
Well, that's the old
spread
numbers.
that
How numbers
out,
are. Yeah.
that floodplain out, I mean, you might have houses that'll be in the floodway where there wasn't before.
Yeah, but
Floodplain.
and the other thing that I think is so critical on that is every time you go to sell your house, a lot of banks won't loan you money if you're in the floodplain. They won't. Or if they do, they make you have flood insurance, and flood insurance is very expensive.
Very If you get a guy living there for 20 years, and all of a sudden we start knocking on his door and says, "Oh, you're required to have flood insurance now."
They said, "Hey, I didn't move my house." Yeah, well, the boundaries moved. So,
Hey, in that particular area, Steve knows he's a surveyor. You raise the elevation half, but it's going to affect a lot of homes.
okay. All right. Anything for Craig today? All right. Lori, anything for you? All right. Joe?
Nothing.
Steve?
No, sir.
Tim? John? All right. Russ? Good deal. Meeting adjourned.